All right, before we get into the Pro Farmer Crop Tour discussion, Arlan, we saw USDA be very aggressive when it comes to that cut to the cotton crop. We knew abandonment was going to be high, but it really caught even some of in those areas off guard just because USDA was so aggressive. Is this USDA changing their practice and being more proactive than reactive when it comes to some of these changes?
Well, I think it's been a little bit more erratic lately. We saw a year and a half ago when they were quick to really drop the size of the Russian wheat crop, and then they had to end up coming back up a little bit. And then this year they've been really slow to show the size of the Russian wheat crop and trying to catch up with the rest of the industry. And then now we come back to the cotton, and they're very quick to do it. But the bottom line is, I think what it shows is just how bad the drought has been in the plains this year. And so that it's just been, if we can't grow cotton, which does very well with a deep rooted crop in this condition, how in the world the other crop's going to do it as well? But here's the bottom line: with abandonment that much, and most of that abandonment being in Oklahoma and Texas, where they've been in such a long drought, the cattle feeders can't find feed. The rains that are in the forecast now over the next week to 10 days, if those rains verify, we're going to see a lot of wheat go in the ground down there very quickly, and it's going to show up on the winter wheat seedings report in January. It doesn't mean it's going to be harvested, but it'll provide some pasture and some feed for cattle.
And Kristi, we've seen kind of we on this roller coaster. We had this historic run up early, and then we saw pressure. There's still a lot of uncertainty when it comes to Ukraine as well as Russia. So when you hear what Arlan says, is there a chance for wheat prices to climb again as we head into the fall and people are making these decisions about planting winter wheat or not? Or do you think there are just too many obstacles right now?
I was surprised that you've seen the market pretty much give up all premium of Russia and Ukraine into this wheat market. We know that there's still some serious issues, that the ability to get grain out of Ukraine is only for an extended period. You don't have it forever. They're only willing to do it for so long. And so I was surprised that you had taken out all that premium, but as you come in now to a good crop for spring wheat. We had the crop tour go through for spring wheat, quality tour, and they had almost record yields. And from what I'm hearing, the wheat looks fantastic. The wheat that started into Minnesota being harvested in parts of South Dakota has ran really, really well. And so I think that's holding it back. But I think we talked about it earlier. We need funds to be part of this. Funds were part of the reason why you drove it as high as they did with the talk of Russia-Ukraine war. So they need to see a reason to step back in. And I'm not sure they've really seen that yet.
All right, Arlan, as we head into this crop tour next week, and we see you start in South Dakota as well as Ohio and then end up in Minnesota, what are you watching? What do you want answered next week?
We've had a lot of anecdotal reports come in about how good corn and soybeans are or how bad corn and soybeans are. We have that every year. This crop tour is our first opportunity to see how widespread the good is versus how widespread the bad is, and to really get a feel for not only ear health on the corn, how long are the ears, how what's the girth of the ears, how well do they feel, how widespread is the tip back problems that we've been hearing about. And the same thing with soybean pods. How have we been setting pods in those plants? And as was mentioned earlier about the short plants, are we packing a lot of pods on those plants, or the short plants resulting in fewer pods west of the Mississippi as well? And then how are we starting to fill those pods? Those are the things that I'm going to be listening for, as well as some of the disease. We've had some high humidity levels in some parts of the Midwest with warm overnight temperatures, as that started bringing in some tar spot on the corn, creating other disease problems in the crops as well. Or is the crop still fairly healthy?
Yeah, and Kristi, you were on crop tour last year. I know you were on that eastern leg, so you've had that unique perspective that you were there last year. Now that you're watching, what answers do you want to come out of crop tour next week?
Yeah, the crop tour is obviously a heated discussion amongst people sometimes. And so I did get the opportunity to go on it, and I had a fantastic time. Not only did I get to see how everything worked, I learned a lot about the agronomy side of things, and it was just a blast. And I think what I'm going to look at the most is going to be moving forward. USDA has been aggressive on their corn yield, adjusting it down. And what I want to see is, what does Pro Farmer have to say about that? Where do you see these yields kind of matching up, and do we see more to come? Is this it? Did USDA get the horse in front of the buggy and say, hey, this is it? we kind of found our yield, or do we see more? We know that we've had some DTN, FBN estimates come out that have been really low. They've been saying that they are trending higher. They are satellite imagery, so that's a little bit of a different situation. But I think this is going to be really useful to see how aggressive USDA needs to be moving forward after this. Also, I'm going to be watching pod counts on beans. The beans are very short around Alexandria, Minnesota. We went down to north central Iowa, very short beans across that. I've heard it from majority of my producers.
All right. Well, Arlan, Kristi, thank you so much for joining us and giving some of your insights. We will be on Crop Tour next week, so tune in next week on US Farm Report, because our entire marketing discussion will be about what were Crop Tour's findings, as well as talking to Pro Farmer about what their thoughts are moving ahead. Thank you both. We appreciate it. Let's take a quick break, and then we will have much more right here this weekend on US Farm Report.